Here's your latest news for Red Deer in central Alberta. Funding has been terminated for the Ponoka Rising Sun Clubhouse. As of April 30th, there will be no funding from the Ministry of Mental Health and Addictions. The Ponoka Rising Sun Clubhouse provides support for those managing mental health and addictions. It also helps find employment for discharged patients. An intimate musical performance from an Alberta country music musician took over the Centrium last week. Merrick DeCash spoke with Brett Kissel about a special concert dedicated to former Peavey Mart employees.
We're joined by recording artist Brett Kissel. Brett, you played an intimate showcase at the Centrium in front of dozens of former Peavey Mart employees. Explain what went down that night.
Well, for me, it was really emotional, actually. You know, when I stepped into the venue, a lot of the team members that were there had even, kind of been let go that day. I thought it was really, really special that Peavey Mart chose to do a send-off, for their executive staff, to thank them for their years of service. There were people in the room that, had been part of the team for 30 plus years. From merchandising to director of operations to staff that had been, working the till and hanging out clothes and setting up shelves of stuff, for 30 years. So when I walked in, you could feel that there was a somber tone in the room, but nobody knew that I was coming to sing.
What was the experience like playing in front of such a small crowd in what probably felt like such an intimate setting?
I think there are about 80 in the room, a really special venue in Red Deer, 80 people in the room. And even though there was a heavy weight in the air, my message on the microphone was to celebrate the brand that they all helped create, that is now a part of Alberta culture and now part of Canadian culture that we'll never forget.
Brett, you were at the Oilers playoff watch party. You've played all kinds of unique gigs around Alberta and the country for that matter. How does this one stick out?
I think the reality of this is that it wasn't a gig. This was an Albertan saying thank you to a group of team members and employees that felt like family. So this was, I don't know how to describe it, almost like a celebration of life, because there was a somber tone and there was a heavy weight in the air, but it wasn't a gig. This was me as a normal person, as a normal Albertan who grew up on a farm and shopped at Peavey Mart a million times, just getting a chance to say thank you, the way that I think a lot of people in St. Paul, where I grew up, would want to say thank you to Peavey Mart for being in their community, or people in Sherwood Park want to say thank you to Peavey Mart for being in their community, or people in small town Manitoba want to say thank you to Peavey Mart for having such a big impact in their community. So it wasn't a gig. This was just a guy showing up to say thank you.
That's spectacular. How many songs did you play, Brett?
I think I was supposed to play for like 15 minutes, maybe play a couple songs. I played for over an hour. I was having a good time. There were a bunch of people from the Filipino community that they were cheering loud, and so I was playing for them. And then there was the lady there, who had kind of been there from the beginning. Again, 1967 is when the brand started. So I played songs from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. It ended up being a celebration. Everybody threw back a couple of beers, and we celebrated a great brand. So I sang for well over an hour.
Brett, thank you so much for joining us. Safe travels, and we hope to talk to you again soon.
After on and off snow on Monday morning, we're back up to a mix of sun and cloud and then some mild temperatures. Now, it won't feel as warm as it did last week, but it's still above zero. But then into Saturday, 10 degrees as a high, but there's just a couple of days in between where it's going to feel much cooler. We're going to dip down to minus 12 with the wind chill overnight, and then 1 in Red Deer for a high. Same thing with Lacombe and Stettler. A little bit warmer towards Innisfail, 4 degrees in Rocky Mountain House. In the afternoon, there's going to be a wind from about 20 gusting up to 40 kilometers an hour. But other than that, quite mild. Here's a look at the rest of your 5-day forecast.